is Jason Cook. I am 1/3 of the ownership of Teays River Brewing, and I also brew beer.
And I'm Corey Patterson. I am not any part of the ownership, and I also brew beer.
Our experience with Blickman Engineering and the support that they offered is from the get-go. They have been involved every step of the way. When we gave them the designs to our brew house, to how many tanks, to our requirements for glycol, for our brights, all those things, they were able to come in and work with us and help facilitate. That was huge in getting us going, because I didn't have any real practical experience with the industry. So their knowledge coming in was fantastic. The whole Blickman crew on our first brew day, they were here to get us, put us through the paces of the system.
The 7-barrel system we have here seems like a good fit because we have a pretty decent sized restaurant and tap room, so we obviously want to make sure that they're getting taken care of. And now that we're doing a little bit of distribution, we have right now just enough excess capacity out of the 7-barrel brew house to be able to get some beer out into the city and territories without really stretching ourselves as far as not having enough inventory here, or stretching me and Jason by brewing 7 to 10 times a week.
So I was back and forth between a 7 and a 10 initially when I was first thinking about it, and decided on the 7, just like thinking that like a target being around 1,000 barrels a year for kind of max capacity, what we'd want to do. And
today Jason's working on brewing, I'm working on getting his fermenter ready, doing some other cellar work. We are very fortunate that we have a lot of space to work around each other. We're not cramped at all. At any given point in time, I'll be cleaning, like yesterday, I cleaned 3 tanks while Jason was out and about. But theoretically, Jason can come in, he can run a brew day just like today. I can clean some tanks, get things transferred into our brights, and we don't necessarily step on each other's toes. So just purely from a size standpoint, we have a lot of good operational efficiency. I might have the distinction of working on more commercial Blickman systems than anybody else on the planet. I've worked with the 20-gallon system, I've worked with the 1-barrel system, I've worked with the 3-barrel hybrid, I've worked with the 5-barrel hybrid, I've worked with the 5-barrel hybrid plus, and I've worked with our 7-barrel system here. You can have all the shiny tanks in the world, but if you don't have your hoses, your gaskets, your clamps, your valves, I think that's one of the first things that gets forgotten in a build out that a lot of folks who might necessarily not already be in the industry don't even think about. The excellent thing about Blickman is when they hear things like this, they actually respond to that feedback and try to put a product out into market. The 3.5 and 5-barrel system specifically, there's a lot of hoses and clamps you have to move around throughout your brew day at any given point in time. A couple of years ago, the folks decided to try to solve that problem, so they came up with the manifold that you see on a lot of the 3.5 and 5-barrel systems down. And that's a direct result of feedback from like folks like me who they can jaw at and be like, so like, what's the problem? Like, well, my back's getting hurt a little bit, so let's try to figure out a way to make this design flow more efficient. And they shot it back to the engineers, and the engineers came up with that manifold, and it works fairly well.
Hey, I'm Tony Qualls, and you're at Gnosis Brewing and Manic Meadery in Maryville, Indiana. Making this beer here with my partners, Adam, Eric, Keith, and Brandon, for about 6 months since we opened the tap room. We currently share a production facility with Manic Meadery. So Gnosis Brewing and Manic Meadery under the same roof. We make mead, wine, cider, and then all of our beers. We chose Blickman as our 5-barrel brew house to get our microbrewery going, and it's been a successful relationship, and it's fit our needs very well.
Part of our reasoning is that chimney right there. That was an existing hole that we could use, and Tony got on the roof and on a ladder and made it happen. So that was a big influencer for where the boil kettle had to go in this setup. It was cool that Blickman, it was no problem to make that happen, obviously. So we're grateful and happy about that.
Yeah, also where this location is, it gives us better access to be closer to all the fermenters. We also have a 10-barrel fermenter over there. If we do a double turn on the system, we use less hose length to get there. And these hoses, there's every little section has a gallon of wort in it. So it makes it easier to get more efficiency and get closer to our cold side.
Yeah, well said.